help us to now think about engagement in sort of a day-to-day process, right? I'm there. What must happen? Because oftentimes, I think you see that so many companies invest in engagement surveys, and they don't often kind of always tell us the story, or maybe the engagement story tells one picture, but the employees could be very stressed as well, and therefore, if you're in the now I'm sort of in the thick of it, right? How do we see engagement playing out?
Well, you mentioned employee engagement surveys. Um, a lot of companies use them. There's different types, but as any survey, it can suffer if the survey questions are not phrased properly because employees may be afraid to answer that in a yes no way or afraid to, you know, posit something. Um, whereas asking a question of, what would make your life easier? Could surface an issue or a concern that "Are you happy?" doesn't, because they're supposed to be happy. And so the actual drafting of the surveys, regardless of what they're called, their frequency, is certainly very important in terms of getting the proper information back. But even more important than getting the information is what's done with it afterwards. Okay. Is there a follow up? Are employees told, hey, we're doing great here. The company knows it needs to do some work over here. Here's what we're going to do. We'd also like some ideas from you. Are they part of the problem solving process, or is it everything? Does it all roll downhill? So I think that makes a difference. And the worst thing that happens is when a manager gets feedback and it's like, okay, who said that? I want to know whose answer that is. And then yeah, you're laughing, but it's true. And then you know what happens. There's some form of retaliation or pushback or bias or something that the employee experiences. And even if that employee deals with it, others see it. So the next time there's a survey, how honest are the answers going to be? Right? People start to push back. They're like turtles in a shell. They pull back, right? They're protective because it is their income unless another job comes along. Um, and so, I think that's just human nature. So surveys are good. What's more important is the ongoing feedback. Employees are told that I should say managers that you shouldn't just wait for an annual review. You should be constantly providing some kind of feedback so people can course correct instead of going way off to the side. And then the end of the year is like, oh no, Pearl Harbor file, boom, and now there's consequences. All of these are learning opportunities, but it takes a manager who understands that and who is equipped to make those course corrections in a way that's helpful. I mean, we've all had teachers or coaches in the course of our lifetime, and there are those that are really harsh, and there are those that you just love working with because you know that they're there to help you get better. You're good, but you got potential, and they help bring it out. And I think that's the leadership challenge. A lot of discussion is Gen Z doesn't do this. And, I applaud their ambition and I think that they're a great generation, but our leaders are still too often focused on command and control that they grew up with and think that, well, I went through it. Now they have to, that's just the way it is. And that kind of harsh response isn't going to bring out the best in people. So I think there's an opportunity for leaders to up their game so that they can help their employees up theirs.